Hello friends! In this video I will be reviewing the Winsor & Newton watercolor brush marker, which is different from the regular brush marker even though they do look pretty similar. This brush marker comes with both a brush tip and a bullet tip. I do like the bullet tip for monoline lettering, but it does seem to flatten out a bit after a bit of time. You can see with my lettering example using these markers that you can push pretty hard and get some really thick downstrokes, but they do bounce back up for a nice thin upstroke. This is another brush pen where that ombre effect can really be strong. It is a very juicy marker, especially at the beginning. I have worn some of mine to where they're not quite as vibrant, but these have been a marker that I use often, so I think that's typically when I have used these pens over and over. You can see with the swatches that the colors in this marker set are very vibrant and beautiful. These are definitely a marker that I have used and shared often, especially over on Instagram. And if you're not following me there, you can find me at How to Hand Letter. And I get a lot of questions when I use these markers because I do think they kind of tend to stand out a bit. When it comes to blending, these markers are blendable. With markers like this that take so long to dry, it can sometimes be a bit easier to go back and kind of fill in or blend together the colors to make a more subtle blend rather than like a streaky look. But you can definitely experiment, and there are a lot of different color combinations that you can try when it comes to blending. You can see in this green lettering that even after all of this time it took me to finish this lettering, it still was not completely dry. So if you are a lefty, just know that these can take quite a bit of time to dry. I'm using a marker paper for most of these reviews, so that might affect it a little bit, but still, these typically take a bit of time to dry. Because I don't want to fray the brush tip of this brush pen, I don't want to use them on actual watercolor paper, but here's another way that you can use them on watercolor paper without risking ruining the tips of your brush pen. You can simply color the marker onto a piece of ceramic or plastic or acrylic, and then use a water brush or a wet paintbrush to pick up the color that way. I know I said it in an earlier video, but I'm not the greatest at blending colors together, but I wanted to give you an example of how beautiful this process can look. I know that another brush pen that people are curious about when they are comparing this one is the Ecoline watercolor brush pen, and I recently reviewed that one as well, so I will leave a link for that video in the description box below, as well as a link for the playlist for this Pen a Day challenge, which is where I'm following the prompts on our May lettering challenge and putting up 31 pen review videos for you. And I think that at this point I'm over halfway done, so there are a lot of pen reviews in that playlist. If you are interested, I will link it below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video.